How good is Matheus Cunha, and can he transform Amorim's Manchester United team? Today's video we will be answering that question. Well, firstly, let's just address why we need Cunha. Well, in 2024 and 25 season is a season to forget for Manchester United fan, finishing 15th in the league. And one of the main overarching issue that was recurring throughout the season was the lack of goals, as Manchester United has only scored 42 goals all season out of the 38, which is quite appalling, especially the three teams who score less are relegated sides and Everton. So it makes sense why Manchester United are looking for more attacking recruits and why they signed Matheus Cunha, as last season he has contributed to 21 goals for Wolves, who was a struggling side in the Premier League. He was their key player and a player that was depended upon for source of goals. But before discussing about how Cunha could fit into the Amorim system, let's begin by deep dive into the player's profile, looking at his strengths and his weaknesses. Let's begin with his strength. Cunha is really clinical in front of goals. If you look at his numbers, only Embremu achieves a higher non-penalty expected goals compared to Cunha's being second, which is a lot higher than any Manchester United players except maybe Ahmed, as on that list he's ranked 8th. Despite non-penalty XG can be also seen as a negative stat, as some people think it means that they wouldn't be able to replicate it next season, but it can also be a good indicator of how good Cunha is in front of goals, and that he's able to score those difficult goals, which I do think many United players or attackers don't possess. He offers that goal threat. Cunha has the ability to score from anywhere and can score any types of goals, such as in transition, strike with power with either foot, finish across goals, near post, and he's also dangerous in pockets of space and great at making those late runs, arriving into the box and scoring those tap-ins. This is the sharp marks, which shows that his versatility of goals he can score, which makes him a big threat in and around the box, especially in the outside box and highlighted here. But what our opponents tends to do is try to quickly mock Cunha or run to Cunha so he doesn't take that shot outside the box, which can give room for other players. Also, adding his dribbling style, his ability to drive past opponents with his explosiveness and power, adding to the fact that he's great with both foot, so it makes him really unpredictable for opponents to defend. He often uses his power and aggression to get through defenders, using those type of like body feints, change of pace, and basically just unpredictable like touches that manipulates the defenders into the wrong body position. And sometimes when he makes his first touch, it's not often clean. It's a bit bounce off him, and it doesn't really stick to him. But this also can be a strength, as defenders struggle to defend that. And Cunha is really good at causing chaos into the game. And Cunha, he's really good at taking players on. And this is shown by the stat that he's ranked 79% in in the whole of Europe top 5 leagues with the successful take-ons, ranking 9th in the Premier League, which is quite incredible as you have to consider that a lot of the players that's in that list are wingers or fullbacks that tends to have an easier job as they're normally isolating the fullbacks and or the defenders 1v1, whereas Cunha, he likes to operate in the central area where it is more congested and surrounded with many players around him. He is very good at getting out of those pressure situations and can be really useful for Manchester United in breaking teams down. He's also honestly very good and serious threat from transition, as he often drops quite deep to support the midfield and helping in build-up, making the opponent a bit reluctant and both confused whether to follow Cunha or not. It also gives him that space to drive into due to defenders being hesitant, as if the defenders follows him, there is space and space in behind, and many teams don't want their defenders to do that and it can break the structure, so often opponents would stand off him. But if they also pressure him and be aggressive, Cunha has the ability to beat them with subtle body feints and ball manipulation. The other positive thing, if you look at the FP Ref report about Cunha, is that he's ranked in the 75th hold in the progressive passes, meaning that he's a progressive player in terms of his passing. He doesn't shy away in making those risky forward passes to progress the play. He's a very forward-thinking player, often trying to find ways to create attacks instead of making sideways passes, which is great as we do need players to play quickly, as last season we struggled with that as players passing was very conservative majority of the time. In this sense, he could suit Amorim's system quite pretty well with the whole quick progression and transition. Also quite good at making those subtle passes to the channels behind the defender, which is very effective and is part of his strengths in creating assists and also breaking the lines with his passes. He is also very good in under pressure situations and carries the team despite they are trailing in the match, as he has that confidence and determination mentality that makes him an asset for Manchester United, as often he would be the one that gets Wolves out of trouble, contributing to an equaliser or winner. The game that comes most noticeably into my mind is the Liverpool game, where he scored to make it 2-1, the Brighton draw at the start of the season, Fulham, and when he ran the show against us, winning 2-0 in December. He's the exact profile we need, as we need a strong character in the squad and a player to show up when it matters. He's also quite good at tackling. He's quite determined, and also he tries to join the press as much as he can. However, sometimes it can be seen as a bit rushed, uncalculated or reckless, so it can lead to quite a lot of fouls. Now the strengths has been established, let's talk about the weaknesses of Cunha. He's a very impatient player in build-up. He always tries to think of the forward option, which can be good but also frustrating, as he does attempt a large number of long passes but lacks the accuracy and execution, as his passing is very inconsistent. He makes those highlight reels passes, but it's misleading as he doesn't achieve it enough in a constant rate, as often is overhead or too short. Basically, Cunha is not suitable if you want a possession-oriented traditional number 10 like Bruno or Eriksen, and he's not the one to spearhead the possession system. He's at his best when the game is chaotic, and he thrives heavily on that. As you can see in his pass completion percentage is very poor, with only making 71.6% per 90 minutes, which is quite bad as he's ranked in the 22 percentile in Europe top 5 leagues. His long passes as well, despite attempting one of the most ranking in the 91 percentile and having 6.83 per 90 minutes, but he only able to complete around 44.2% of his long passes, which shows that he kind of struggles in that area, despite he really likes to attempt those long passes. In terms of his defensive contribution, he is quite aggressive in the tackle, but the issue lies when he doesn't track back enough to support the team. He barely gets involved when the team are getting attacked. Sometimes even the centre forward has to track back for him. This is shown by his percentage of the time spent walking, which is quite bad, as he's ranked first in that metric, walking 77.6% of the time, which is not great, as one of the main criticisms of Matheus Cunha was because he wasn't tracking back enough. Well, based on the stat, Cunha is quite similar in the sense of that. Also, the way he presses is also a bit lethargic. He does it enough to block the passing lanes, but he doesn't seem like he has the intention to win it back, unless if there is a very good chance he can win it and pounce on the opportunity. Basically, his defensive levels is quite conservative and seem like he's reserving his energy most of the time. But it could also be the Wolves' tactics purposely not giving Cunha much tracking back to do, as they need him in attack. It is also tactical in my opinion that Wolves has instructed their forward players such as Cunha to not press high on opposition, instead inviting the pressure, sitting deep and making tackles in the middle third and the defensive third. This is evident by the FP stat that shows that Wolves is ranked one of the worst for tackles in the final third. Only West Ham, Ipswich, Southampton and Forest with lower stats than them, but they are ranked one of the first and second for tackles in both defensive and middle third. This could mean that the defensive stats regarding Cunha may not be as accurate as we like, as Wolves is quite a defensive side, and for their forward players, they're not really assigned to be more to do the defensive part. Lastly, one of the main issues with Cunha is his movement, the lack of movement, as if you watch Cunha, he doesn't really contribute much when he's off the ball. His off the ball movement is honestly quite shocking, as often he just jogs or walks even though there is a good opportunity if he makes the run into the channels and causing problems for opponents and defenders. He also barely makes those unselfish runs to drag opponents out of position and helping his teammates to create space and giving them more potential passing options. He's just too static. He wants everything 2 feet and doesn't make enough of those movements into the box. Sometimes he just receives the ball, carries it, passes it to his teammates and jog and not making a run into the box. Like, it seems like he has no urgency in passing on the opportunity. And what's the most frustrating thing is he's good at running into the channels, but he just doesn't do it enough. In conclusion, I haven't seen enough evidence that Cunha has the ability to be a low block other than popping shots off from distance and when the game is chaotic. He also doesn't have the execution to break the team down with his passing as well. I do know it's not his main game, as he is more of an erratical player and that's his style. he's constantly more direct and he's more forward-thinking orientated. But as an attacking mid, creativity aspects is an important factor to be considered. He can be also frustrating as he takes a lot of shots. But what's most concerning about Cunha in regards to his weaknesses is his off-the-boot movement. It can be quite passive and doesn't run enough into the channels as much as I like. He doesn't make those unselfish runs to help the team to create the space enough. However, there are many characteristics that is suitable for Amorim's system. Firstly, he is Premier League proven. Part of Amorim's strategy this summer was to sign a Premier League proven player, and he has performed really well for Wolves these 2 years. He has also a very strong mentality as well, which is perfect, as he's able to carry the team when he's most needed, which is very appealing quality for a Manchester United player. Amorim also wants Cunha, and the main reason is his ball carrying ability, and generally he's one of the best in the Premier League in doing so, which fits Amorim's system like a team. As Amorim, in the terms of the left attacking mid position, Cunha is perfect for that role, as not only he plays in that position for Wolves in the same formation, but during Amorim's time at Sporting, Pedro Gonçalves was his main starting left attacking mid, with characteristics that Amorim wants. And if you look closely on what Amorim wants for his left attacking mid, firstly he wants someone that is offers that progressive carry, successful take-ons, carries into the final third, and carries into the penalty box, as well as touches in the penalty box and progressive passes. And if you look at Bruno, Cunha, and Pedro Gonçalves metrics between each other, Cunha is ranked first or second out of the three, only progressive carries, and he got the lowest out of the three. I imagine Amorim and Manchester United look at that and thought, based on the metrics as well, that Cunha is the perfect fit. He exceeds really mainly as well in carries into the final thirds, carry statistics as well, and take-ons, which is ideal for Amorim, as he wants his left attacking mid to take more risks, carrying the ball and forcing opponents to surround him, allowing space for other players to run onto, and allow more players to be open in space. It is what Cunha is thrive at, so that's why he's perfect. In conclusion, I think Cunha is the perfect fit for Amorim's Manchester United. He is suitable for the system and would really help players such as Dogu, as he's quite good with link-up play with the fullback, as you see during his time at Wolves. The link-up between him and Ignori, I think we can have the similar combination between Dogu and Cunha. Bruno and Bremo and strikers will also benefit, as when he carries the ball, many players tries to surround him, many opponents try to surround him, leaving space for those players such as Bruno and more attacking players. Also, he's very good at his crossing technique, which is an element that's underrated and it's not mentioned on these videos, but it's something that he's quite good at. And with a tall striker, he can definitely thrive from that as well. In conclusion, if I have to grade the signing of Cunha out of 5, I would have given it a 4.1 out of 5, as I think it's a step to the right direction, and it's a good systematic player that fits a systematic manager. So I think that's what I think it's perfect for Cunha.